right to the top with Whitesnake on 90.7 WCLH from their 1984 release. Slide It In. It is its title track. And speaking of Whitesnake and David Coverdale, he's on the record saying that their upcoming release, Flesh and Blood, will be the, quote, the best Whitesnake album, end quote. That will be released this summer on Frontiers Music, and it got me thinking, well, who gets to decide what album is the best? If anyone, it is the guy who makes them, right? So David Coverdale making it. And I have my producer in with me right now, Bryden. Do you care at all what other people think about certain music, or do you just go with your gut?
I don't care.
But if someone did have an opinion, like an opinion you would respect, would it be the artists themselves?
What do you mean?
The person who actually wrote the music.
I'm very confused on what you're asking.
Say you liked an album.
Okay.
But the band who made the album hated it.
Oh.
Would you still like the album?
Well, yeah.
Yeah?
Just because they don't like it. Like I don't know, if you ever write your own music, you might not like it, but some other people like it. No matter what.
An example I think of is Dokken. They had a release Shadow Life in 1997, and it was looked down upon right away, but Dokken kind of went with the flow at first, saying, they liked it and everything, and years later, it turns out they don't like it, and George Lynch trashed that album and wanted it to be a failure. But when you think, if someone picked up that record in 97 and thought, this is a good one, but then found that out, to me, that's kind of what I did, because I didn't know that the record was looked down upon until after I listened to it. So it definitely was an interesting listen. So this could be any album. And then you later find out that the artist doesn't like it. So then, to me, in that specific case with Dokken, it did have an effect on me. But then, of course, came my second favorite Dokken album, 1999, Erase the Slate. And they had a new lineup there, with the addition of Reb Beach on guitar. So bringing back this Whitesnake thing, David Coverdale saying that this next album is going to be their best. This is actually going to be the first album that he's writing with guitarist Reb Beach. And I like Reb Beach. I love him as a player, but I've never been into winger music. I enjoy it, but I've just never gotten that much into it. Going back to when Reb Beach entered Dokken, Bryden, because Producer Bryden, what all this is about. I told her when she was coming in, I'm like Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, trying to find the connection with Pepe Sylvia based on my note cards, because I'll reference Dave Mustaine soon, but anyway, Reb Beach, he entered Dokken in 1999, comeback record, great album. It just made it right. So I look forward to what David Coverdale does here with Reb Beach, because he's got a distinct sound like all the guitarists from that era. It should be interesting. And back to the point, if David Coverdale says this is going to be their best record, I believe. Because I think the only person who matters in that decision is the person who makes the album. Of course, then fans could have their opinions. I don't care. They could have them, but I think the only one that matters is the guy. And Dave Mustaine, he has a radio show on Gimme Radio. It airs on Thursdays from 3 to 5 Eastern. And I tuned in for the first time on last Thursday, so I caught a little bit of it. But what's actually cool about that is that Dave plays the music, plays it what he wants, and then he also is in the chat room and talks to the fans while the program is streaming. And Dave cut out, of course, between songs and talked about the artist a bit. But the content, sorry Dave, wasn't too insightful based on the songs. He might have a story about a band that he went on tour with, but I think if he played a Megadeth song, which he might on his radio show, would you play your own music on your radio show, Bryden?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Well, jeez.
Obviously.
You're full of yourself then. But I didn't see Dave play some Megadeth.
Oh, wait, do you mean if music, I made? Yeah. I thought you meant music I listened to.
That's because you're not listening. But you're on your phone, man. No. Anyway, I think if Dave were to play a Megadeth song on that, then, of course, he could talk about that song all day, and I'd listen to it, and I'd respect the decision. But radio host or any other person, I could care less. I'm still going to like the music that I am going to like. And I think my producer agrees with that. So anyway, there we have Whitesnake. Respect their new release, Flesh and Blood, coming this summer. And we'll play it when we get to it. But for now, let's go to some new music that I added in the Metal Monday, Metal Lockdown rotation. I added some new Harpo music. Of course, if you're from the area of Wilkes-Barre, you know Harpo, the hardest ass-kicking rockers Pennsylvania offers. Yes, Brian, I could say that. Do you know anything about George Carlin? So, I got some new live music from their Smoking Gun release. It is Tough Love right here on 90.7 WCLH. I'm ready!
got a fever, and the only prescription is more metal. Here on Metal Massacre, WCLH's Top Metal Monday show. Whoa!
90.7 WCLH, Wilkes University Radio. From their Erase the Slate release, that is Dokken with Sign of the Times, going out to a fan, Carolina Cookie Burner, by request. Got my producer, Bryden, here in the studio with me again. She's basically my co-host now. Would you rather go by co-host? Since you haven't, well, we'll get to it, but you haven't really done a lot of producing.
I like producer Bryden, though.
Well, that's kind of specific to this show, though. When I graduate, we're just talking about how I'm going to be graduating in May. Are you going to take over or just start a show? Start a show in general.
Yeah, I might start a show. I still need to figure some things out.
And you'll most likely be playing a mix of music, but including the hardcore music that you picked. That I'll allow on my show because you're kind enough to join me and give me a co-host. And, I'll play it. I'll say what I want about it, which I will when we get to it.
Go ahead.
But first, going on that Dokken that we just heard, I was playing it up earlier in the show, Whitesnake. They're releasing a Flesh and Blood release in the summer, and Red Beach. It's the first time David Coverdale is going to be writing with Red Beach, and he's been in the band since 2002. Is that kind of weird, do you think? Guy who's been in the band since 2002 hasn't even written with the artist, David Coverdale. You think? I mean, you could just make a general comment on that, can't you, Bryden?
Wait, he hasn't. What do you mean, like lyric-wise, or?
Well, Red Beach is the guitarist.
That's what I mean.
David Coverdale is the singer, and they haven't written a song together in 16 years.
Does what's the singer's name?
David Coverdale.
Coverdale. Does he just like give it to Reb?
No, they're writing together. But I think David wrote most of the material. Has been.
Oh.
Anyway, a fun fact about that Erase the Slate release, that was the first time that all the members of Dokken wrote a song together. That's something that I found out in my interview with Don back in October when Dokken came over to Penn's Peak. Hope they come back soon. But it wasn't until 1999 Erase the Slate where all the members collaborated together and wrote a great, great record, Erase the Slate 1999. Check it out if you haven't. A comeback. A comeback. Brian, do you agree it's a comeback? Just agree.
Comeback, yes.
Comeback. My second favorite. It's right here. You know what I mean? Right here. Anyway, Bryden in the studio. All the time she's been on my show, and I know she was listening even before she came on the show. She was religiously listening every day. She had to have been supporting her sister. I've played Dokken every single day for 3 years. Not every single day, every single show. If I was on the air every day, I would. I would, though. That's the first time, though, she's heard the Don Dokken ID that I got in October. So I'll let you slide a little bit that it wasn't until October. But that was a life goal of mine to get that. And a shout out to Neely and Chris at the Classic Metal Show because they helped me get that. Gave me the interview with Don and everything. But it was a great one. You never heard it, though. And you laughed. So tell me again why you laughed when you heard that.
Because I feel like since like you like idolized like Don Dokken for so long, and he said, "Oh, you're listening to the Metal Massacre with Kendle." I was like, "That's crazy," because I couldn't imagine like me meeting someone I idolize and them just giving like an ID and like saying my name and everything.
Well, what is your artist? If you could have any artist you could get an ID from them, you could go behind stage, meet them, have them say your name. This is blah, 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 and you're listening to Bryden on hardcore something.
Well, Dance Gavin Dance, they're not hardcore at all, but...
what would you consider them most of the listeners, though?
I honestly, I have no idea.
I think they're, like, emo a bit.
Yeah, I have no idea what because, like, their music is, like, different. It's, like...
I was talking to our brother about it, and he's like, it's
like heavy, but there's, like, some, like, funk like
element. Yeah, that's what he was saying. That's what he was saying,
yeah.
Man.
But their singer Tillian Pearson, I didn't meet him. I got a picture with him at work tour. But if he gave me an ID, that'd be awesome.
Is the picture, what's worth more to you? The picture, or maybe him knowing that you play his music to the masses of, those masses, 500K and more on our website. It's 500K in the area of Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, and Hazleton, and then just the world through WCLH.org to stream. Do you think it'd be cooler to have an ID than the picture you already have?
Yeah, ID would be, if I got to just meet him.
Yep.
Be very cool.
That would definitely be cool. But we'll stick with Producer Bryden for now. You wanted to know about the ID you made, or the promo that you made for Metal Mondays. You listening right now, you may have heard it. It was Bryden's debut in terms of producing. Here it is.
Hey, it's Producer Bryden from Metal Mass-Acre, and you're listening to Metal Mondays on 90.7 WCLH, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Hazleton, and surrounding areas.
At one point, there were guitars back on that, right?
There was.
That was producer's Kendall's fault then.
I was waiting for the...
Or it was the system. You can't trust the system. You can't.
No.
You definitely can't. Okay. I don't even know what I'm playing anymore. So, wait. We're getting to the hardcore. So this is what I'm going to do. Dokken has always been a band where I've said, they're the great transition band in terms of making a playlist. Because I could play some of the more melodic LA stuff, but then Dokken gives it that heavier edge, the heavy metal edge. And then it works well going into heavier stuff. So before we get to your hardcore, I'm going to play some The Meatmen, which is punk hardcore-ish, but it's classic. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to be playing some Threat Point and their thrash out of Scranton. And then we'll get into Producer Bryden's hardcore picks. So, up next, The Meatmen on 90.7 WCLH. The song is French People Suck.
Well, you don't know what we can find. Why don't you come with me, little girl, on a magic carpet ride?
You are listening to 90.7 WCLH, the only radio station sending you on a magic carpet ride. Straight to hell. Burn it high.